This month, we are going to examine one of the true innovators and pioneers of our time, the insights in the oeuvre of one of the modern era's greatest influential minds. I'm talking, of course, from West Philadelphia, born and raised, Willard Christopher Smith II.
What we say, that's the way we kick it. Yeah.
Yes, this month is Will Smith month, the month of May, named for the goddess Maya, a goddess of fertility, which is relevant to Will Smith in some way, I'm sure. And also because Men in Black 3 comes out this month. So we're dedicating May.
May's half over!
So we're dedicating the rest of May to Willard Christopher Smith II, starting with the American cinematic classic Barrington Sonnenfeld III's Men in Black. And also Men in Black 2.
The title held by me, M.I.B. means what you think you saw, you did not see.
Oh, summer of '97. You know, Men in Black did kind of blindside a lot of people with the cultural force that it became, albeit briefly. Let's take a moment to remember that song, shall we?
Let me see you just bounce it with me, just bounce with me, just bounce it with me.
It still kind of blows my mind that a tie-in song like this was as popular as it was. I mean, imagine if 10 years later, I Can Transform Ya was actually tied in with Transformers and performed by Shia LaBeouf.
And she gon' transform like Optimus Prime.
But we'll talk about Will Smith's rap career another day, so honker down because I'm actually gonna say nice things about a thing for once. In this case, it's really difficult from a formula perspective to really pin down what makes a movie good. But in Men in Black, all of the elements really work, to the point where I would consider it a great example of how to make a movie 101. We'll also look at how to fuck up all that wonderful stuff they built up with Men in Black 2. Now this is gonna be a little weird, but I'm gonna go ahead and use a Tyler Perry movie as a point of comparison. And not for any reason you're probably imagining. Now, Men in Black isn't just a weird movie with a weird tone, it's also got to set up a giant universe and immerse the audience in it. So in not a whole lot of time, the film has got to convey to the audience where we are and what the rules are. The reason I compare this to a Tyler Perry film is because, well, let's take a look at this scene from Why Did I Get Married, where Tyler Perry very simply imparts the information about how he and his buddies, we are now wealthy working adults.
Look at all of us, man. When we were in college, did you think that we'd be doing what we said we'd be doing? I mean, look at me, pediatrician, doing well, private practice. Diane's top litigator at her firm.
Are you sure you even want to bother acting out the plot? It might be quicker if you just tell us what happens. This scene does not use the medium of film very effectively. It's kind of stage play-ish. Imagine that. Behold the opening scene in Men in Black, where the film imparts to the audience what the Men in Black do.
Right. You know how many treaties you just violated?
One.
I'll try 7.
That it is a difficult, lonely job.
They're beautiful, aren't they?
What?
The stars. We never just look anymore.
And that this sort of little standoff happens all the time, and it's not really a big deal to them.
Oh, looks like you got some entrails on you there, pal.
It's an exciting way to get the audience invested in the universe and to understand its rules, and it's far more effective than having the characters sit down and go, well, here's what we do and why we do it. Sure, there are scenes later where Agent K and Agent Z exposit what it is and what's going on and what they do very briefly, but how flat would that fall if we hadn't seen it in action first? This, of course, assumes that you had not heard the Men in Black theme over and over and over that summer.
We ain't on no government list, we straight don't exist, no names and no fingerprints.
Our protagonist, Agent J. His story doesn't begin until about here. 20 minutes into the movie. 10 minutes after he's been introduced to us as a character chasing down the cephalopoid. So everything in that 10 minutes is solely for the benefit of the audience, particularly this scene where he plays good cop, bad cop with Agent K. There's so many important beat changes in this scene. But then again, it doesn't really factor into Agent J's story because K immediately wipes his memory of the whole ordeal. This is all for the benefit of the audience, setting up the two main characters' dynamic, the universe, and the plot, which is probably the least interesting thing in the film. But that's okay. In a film like this, where the universe and the characters are the important thing, the plot can stand to be kind of boring and irrelevant. That's kind of how it is with every mystery plot. It's kind of like with the Avengers with their blue Tesseract MacGuffin. Who cares? Following the trend in a lot of recent science fiction, Men in Black also incorporates the idea that alien presence on Earth contributed to some of Earth's technology.
We hold the patents on a few gadgets that we confiscated from out-of-state visitors. Velcro, microwave ovens, liposuction.
We couldn't figure out Velcro?
It's gonna replace CDs soon.
No it won't, Tommy Lee Jones. It's handy for getting information across in a filmy way. Although you probably could have told him how powerful that gun was. You know, just a sentence. Would have been useful in the field. It also allows for some funny and understated performances by Jones and Smith.
Yes, ma'am, I'm Special Agent Mannheim. This is Special Agent Black of the FBI. We'd like to talk to you about your visitor.
I'm Dr. Leo Manville, Department of Public Health. This is Dr. White.
And then, of course, there's the main female.
You have really pretty eyes.
That is not appropriate, lady. You know, actually, I really like this character. I don't call her the love interest because, well, she isn't. And I think we've gotten so used to that cliche and that place for women in movies that it's kind of sad that at least I appreciate it so much when a female character in the story is just a character that does things in the story. I mean, yeah, she does flirt with Will Smith, and yeah, although she does get kidnapped at one point, she gets herself out of the situation, and even saves Jay and Kay's lives after they've saved the world from the bug. Cliche? Sure, but in universe, I appreciate that young, hot, and buff Will Smith isn't the only person who can earn his way into the Men in Black by being a badass. And even more significant, the fact that she and Jay don't end up together as an item, but as partners of a clearly not stooping workplace variety.
Rodman, you're kidding.
Nope.
Not much of a disguise.
Oh, movie, you so dated. While you have to try pretty damn hard to get Will Smith to be unlikable.
Now touch my breast.
Yeah, Agent Jay's big defining characteristics are how he, unlike the rest of the Men in Black, is still adjusting to this new reality, and he actually cares about the common man's well-being while out in the field.
Please.
Would you stop that? What? That thing is gonna give her brain cancer or something.
Kay is the likable old curmudgeon who doesn't really form human attachments, but Jay is out to do some good in the world. He's young and idealistic, and that's an important factor to keep the movie grounded and to keep us invested.
And now that he's gone, you're gonna go in town, you go to Bloomingdale's, you find yourself some nice dresses, get yourself some shoes.
Men in Black is also a weird movie by mainstream standards. A bizarre, disgusting movie with a really cynical worldview. Or, well, universe view. While most alien invasion movies incorporate a sense of bigness and wonder at the goings-on, like the alien invasion or explosion or whatever is the biggest thing that has ever happened on Earth or any other planet for that matter, with Men in Black, it's the complete opposite. Except for Agent J, every single person in the Men in Black maintains the perspective that everything that goes on the planet Earth, it's pretty irrelevant in the grand scheme.
There's always an alien battle cruiser or a Carillion death ray or an intergalactic plague that's about to wipe out life on this miserable little planet.
And Rip Torn's reaction when Will Smith realizes that the Earth will be destroyed in an hour?
Sucks.
These are some pretty big concepts for a movie to expect the lowest common denominator, let's call them Cletus and Joanne, to follow. We don't matter? We're just a tiny, tiny part in a much larger story? Human life isn't the end-all be-all? Intellectual and mind-blowing concepts? Barely, but that's a hard pill for Joanne and Cletus to swallow. Men in Black keeps driving home the idea that the Earth is a very tiny, nigh-irrelevant part of a much, much greater universe. So surely there were more interesting stories to tell in that universe than the one that they came up with! Hey, Tommy Lee Jones, remember your happy ending in Men in Black 1? Well, it wasn't happy after all. Your wife left you. You're back on the force. The kids love the way you argue with Will Smith. And, Frank the Pug. Yeah, let's bring him back and give him a bigger part. Yeah, let's make him an agent. Let's put him in a suit. Pug in a suit. And the buggy worm guys. More of them. And Tony Shalhoub, bring him back. He's got a fake nose now. And remember in the first movie how celebrities were aliens and it was funny? More!
I can be Agent M.
But no gross evil cockroach aliens this time. Let's make him a sexy bikini lady.
They told me I've got real potential.
Why even have sequels? Well, some properties are more engineered towards franchise than others. Comic book adaptations, for instance. They're adapted from what are practically soap opera in print with fighting, so you could go on forever with those, at least until people got sick of them. X-Men, Spider-Man, those are properties with lots of franchise potential. Movie like 7, not so much. And Men in Black really could have been perfect franchise fodder. And while I really do hate Men in Black 2, it does have some value as perhaps the best example of a really shitty sequel, especially considering it was made by the same people who made the first one. How does that even happen? In a word.
Nod your head. Let me see you nod your head like
Hey, the kids really liked it in the first movie where Will Smith rapped about the movie, so let's have him do it again, but this time let's have the chorus be about like a really boring thing.
like this. Let me see you bop your head, nod your head. Come on.
Now scratch your nose. Now read a book. The reason sequels are generally awful is because studios like more of the same. They like cherry-picking what the public liked about the first movie and steroiding it up for the second time, forcing it into the studio like an ass into 3 sizes too small pair of skinny jeans, whether it works in the story or not. And I have a difficult time coming up with a more egregious example of this than Men in Black 2. The Men in Black universe, it really had so much potential. Like, look at X-Men 2, for instance, which built on the first one. It expanded it. Hell, even Transformers 2 progressed the universe and raised the stakes. I'm making a positive comparison to Transformers 2. That's like making a positive comparison to Backney. In Men in Black 2, the stakes are somehow lower. Nothing progresses. And in Agent K's case, the story regresses. What movie you're gonna say, like, oh, remember in Men in Black 1 when he was done with the Men in Black and he was ready to move on? Well, he wasn't. Kidding!
That's why your wife left you.
Am I saying that Agent K should not have been in the sequel? Yes! You ended his story. You knew the film was gonna be a franchise. If you didn't want him in the sequel, you shouldn't have written him out. So in the sequel, it ends up feeling kind of smaller in that respect. That and nobody in the movie acts like a person. Take Kronk here.
What the hell are you doing here, worm boy? T.
Okay, in film 1, they're looking for the best of the best of the best, and they've got all these West Point grads. How the hell did this guy get hired? Also, this shot right here. It's funny because they're New Yorkers and oblivious, I guess. Hey, Barry Sonnenfeld, you grew up in New York. You should know this. I would notice the giant worm. You know why? Because it's late and I want to go home and I'm looking for my train. I'm gonna be like, oh, is that the queue? Aw, that's not the queue. That's the giant alien worm. While I do complain that they reuse way too much from the last film at the expense of the story, most of the new elements, the few that they did add, are simply awful. Like Johnny Knoxville. You know, at least Tom Green got famous